Please welcome the Nobel laureate in economics, Milton Friedman, right here. Let's share with the people at home just one of the statements of Adam Smith that you refer to in your book, which, of course, when I want it, I'm not going to be able to... oh, it's on page 2. All right, thank you. By pursuing his own interest, that is to say, his meaning the person engaged in free enterprise, Adam Smith says, he frequently promotes that of the society more effectively than when he really intends to promote it.
You're listening to Business Scholar.
Adam Smith considered self-interest as the driving force of the economy. But do we know what he actually meant by it? To find out, we must first explore the times in which he lived.
אדם סמית הוא ילד של המהפכה המדעית ושל האמונה הבסיסית ביותר של המהפכה המדעית, שזאת היא האמונה בקדמה. רוב ההיסטוריה, רוב בני האדם תפסו את ההיסטוריה כקפואה ואפילו מדרדרת. ובמישור הכלכלי, האמונה הזאת בהיסטוריה הקפואה ומדרדרת הייתה תפיסה מאוד מאוד נפוצה, שאי אפשר להגדיל את סך העושר בעולם. סך העושר בעולם הוא קבוע, כמו איזו עוגה כזאת, ואתה יכול לחתוך את העוגה בהרבה מאוד דרכים שונות. אבל רווח של אחד תמיד יבוא על חשבון ההפסד של מישהו אחר. כלומר, הכלכלה היא משחק סכום אפס. אדם סמית אומר, הכלכלה היא מה שנקרא win-win situation. כולם יכולים להרוויח. הקדמה פירושה במישור הכלכלי זה שאפשר להעלות את סך הייצור ואת סך העושר בכל העולם, מה שאומר שהכלכלה היא לא משחק סכום אפס. וזה הבסיס באמת אולי לרעיון, שהוא לא רק רעיון כלכלי, אלא רעיון מוסרי, החשוב ביותר של אדם סמית, שאגואיזם זה אלטרואיזם. הרווח הפרטי שלי הוא משהו שעושה טוב לא רק לעצמי, אלא לכולם. הוא בעצם מגדיל את העוגה של העושר העולמי, ומאפשר לעוד אנשים ליהנות מזה, ובבן אדם העשיר יקנה מוצרים מהאנשים האחרים, וככה גם הם יתעשרו, או יפתח עוד מפעלים, עוד בתי מלאכה, ויספק פרנסה לעוד אנשים.
Adam Smith had this famous passage in his Wealth of Nations. It is because well, I'm paraphrasing him, but because the bakers and the butchers want to make money, that we can have our dinner. He started all this myth about selfish individual, self-seeking being the predominant and almost exclusive human motivation. Now, one has to grant that Adam Smith was actually a bit more sophisticated than his followers. He actually understood that humans are more complex, but his position was that you could actually separate these things, and in the realm of the economy, selfishness is basically the exclusive motivation.
So you know Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations. Self-interest and greed is good, and the invisible hand and free enterprise and free markets, etc. All that kind of, he's the father of capitalism. But it turns out, there's another Adam Smith. How many people here have read The Theory of Moral Sentiments? And according to Adam Smith, it was his important book. It was his magnum opus. In some ways, that was his magnum opus, and The Wealth of Nations paid the bills. He never imagined capitalism that he wrote about in The Wealth of Nations could actually succeed without the moral underpinnings, the moral, what he called sentiments. We would call them virtues. Without the virtues, that of a society and virtues of individuals that would actually create the base of a healthy capitalism. Well, all you could do is look here and see that The Wealth of Nations and A Theory of Moral Sentiments, Adam Smith 1, Adam Smith 2, have been disconnected.
When you see around the globe the maldistribution of wealth, the desperate plight of millions of people in underdeveloped countries, when you see so few haves and so many have-nots, when you see the greed and the concentration of power within, did you ever have a moment of doubt about capitalism?
Tell me, is there some society you know that doesn't run on greed? You think Russia doesn't run on greed? You think China doesn't run on greed? What is greed? Of course, none of us are greedy. It's only the other fellow who's greedy. The world runs on individuals pursuing their separate interests.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Of course, we are all, to an extent, selfish. Some people more, some people less. But we also have many other motivations. I mean, we have solidarity, we have loyalty, we have sympathy. You know, I mean, all these motivations are real. And we really, I mean, need to design a system that exploits all these complex human motivations. Because if you begin to assume that everyone is selfish, everyone's only out to promote his or her own self-interest, and then you have to suspect everyone, you have to monitor everyone all the time, and the system will actually grind to a halt.
The great achievements of civilization have not come from government bureaus. Einstein didn't construct his theory under order from a bureaucrat. Henry Ford didn't revolutionize the automobile industry that way.
But Henry Ford is a perfect example that self-interest is far more complex than greed or individualism. In 1914, he single-handedly almost doubled the salaries of his workers and reduced their working hours from 9 to 8 hours a day. Increasing their salaries, he claimed, will turn workers into consumers. It will help to expand the economy and his car sales. He dreamed that every worker could one day own a Ford car.
Non-selfish motivations are important. Then, good managers know it. I mean, they'll talk about persuading people, connecting to people, providing a vision, creating the esprit de corps, I mean.
Tonight, we focus on an apple. Apple the computer, not the fruit.
It is Jobs that provides the main inspiration and philosophical direction for Apple.
What Apple is it's an environment where we can attract the best and the brightest people to come together and sort of have a common vision about how we can change the world.
This is how real managers manage the economy, but of course economists do not understand this, and they keep saying that everyone's selfish and we have to design the system accordingly, which means that you give maximum freedom to everyone, and kind of basically that believe that this will somehow amount to optimal social outcome.
So how did Adam Smith's nuanced concept of self-interest become transformed over more than 200 years into a global economic system driven by greed? It begins with the separation of Adam Smith 1 from Adam Smith 2 and the transformation of the wealth of nations into a science.
The doctrine of self-interest was the economic equivalent to the law of gravity. It ensured equilibrium. If everyone was free to pursue their self-interests in markets, you would get an equilibrium, optimal equilibrium, which was equivalent to the equilibrium of natural bodies when they were free to move as well. So I think the analogy with physics was very, very strong. What they ignored completely was how human beings actually behave. Sociology and psychology have been very well aware that a lot of behavior is what economists would call irrational. But in fact, I don't think that is the right way of describing it. I think it's human.
University of Michigan Television presents an interview with Ayn Rand, noted American novelist, author of The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, and philosopher spokesman for America's new intellectuals.
Self-interest had been enshrined as a law of physics in the 19th century. In the first part of the 20th century, it evolved in the US into a moral philosophy.
I'm challenging the moral code of altruism, the precept that man's moral duty is to live for others, that in fact makes man a sacrificial animal. I say that man is entitled to his own happiness and that he must achieve it himself. Now, what can be more important than happiness? But happiness does not mean simply momentary pleasures or any kind of mindless self-indulgence. Happiness means a profound, guiltless, rational feeling of self-esteem and of pride in one's own achievement.
Join me in welcoming Paul Ryan.
In the 21st century, Ayn Rand's philosophy of self-interest became part of a political campaign.
I grew up reading Ayn Rand, and it taught me quite a bit about who I am and what my value systems are and what my beliefs are. The issue that is under assault, the attack on democratic capitalism, on individualism and freedom in America, is an attack on the moral foundation of America. And Ayn Rand, more than anyone else, did a fantastic job of explaining the morality of capitalism, the morality of individualism.
Our rights come from nature and God, not from governments.
This kind of approach has been so destructive, especially in the last 20, 30 years. We have come to almost glorify self-interest. I mean, we have come to believe that all the other motivations, all the other emotions, all the other moral values, they are somehow secondary. They are somehow for stupid people. They are somehow for kind of lower beings. That has created this system where people are actually expected to be ignorant of the broader social framework. They are encouraged actually just to look after their own interests, and we are living the consequences today.